Relationships are wild, right? One minute you're debating what's for dinner, the next, you're locked in a playful battle of wills over something completely ridiculous. Like, say, facial hair. Yep, you heard me right. Facial hair. It sounds silly, I know, but trust me, this stuff can get real. Imagine this. A peaceful Sunday morning. The smell of pancakes wafts through the air. Suddenly, a seemingly innocent question hangs in the air. Honey, have you ever thought about shaving your beard? Boom. Just like that, the battle lines are drawn. Now, I'm not talking about some rugged mountain man beard here, just your average, everyday scruff. But even the most well-maintained beard can become a surprising point of contention between two people who love each other very much. It's a tale as old as time, or at least as old as multi-blade razors. So, buckle up folks, because we're about to dive headfirst into the hilarious, heartwarming, and sometimes hair-raising world of relationships, compromise, and the great shaving standoff. Let's be real, beards have a certain mystique. They can transform a baby-faced dude into a ruggedly handsome fella. A beard can be a statement, a shield, a source of confidence. It's like a personal billboard that broadcasts to the world, "Hey, I'm a man, hear me roar," or at least, look distinguished. For some guys, their beard is their trademark. It's part of their identity, like their goofy laugh or their uncanny ability to quote every line from The Princess Bride. Shaving it off would feel like losing a limb, a hairy, beloved limb. Then there's the whole societal pressure thing. Beards have become synonymous with masculinity, wisdom, even power. Think Gandalf, Dumbledore, or even a young George Clooney. These guys rock the facial hair and exude an air of confidence that's hard to deny. So yeah, a beard is more than just facial hair. It's a statement, a symbol, a source of pride. And messing with a man's beard? Well, that's just asking for trouble. Or at least a good-natured debate and maybe a few weeks of sleeping on the couch. Picture this. Our brave hero, let's call him John, has finally caved under the weight of his wife's gentle persuasion. Or maybe it was the promise of his favorite lasagna, who knows. Armed with a razor and a healthy dose of trepidation, he steps into the bathroom, a man on a mission. He's about to face his destiny, or at least his reflection sans beard. Minutes later he emerges, smooth-faced and blinking in the sudden brightness of the living room. His wife, let's call her Sarah, gasps. Not a gasp of delight, mind you, but a gasp of sheer unadulterated shock. Remember that scene in Indiana Jones when they open the Ark of the Covenant? It's kind of like that, but instead of melting faces, it's more like, well, a missing beard. The thing is, John hadn't seen his naked face in years. He'd forgotten what lay beneath that carefully cultivated forest of facial hair. And Sarah? She'd fallen in love with a man who looked like a lumberjack, not a preppy golfer. The silence stretches on, punctuated only by the faint hum of the refrigerator and the sound of John's heart pounding in his ears. He forces a smile. "So," he says, his voice an octave higher than usual, "what do you think?" Sarah, being the amazing woman she is, tries her best to mask her initial shock. She manages a weak smile and says, "It's different." But deep down, she's battling a wave of emotions that can only be described as beard withdrawal. The next few days are awkward, to say the least. John catches Sarah gazing wistfully at old photos of him sporting a full beard. Her eyes filled with a longing that no amount of takeout or romantic comedies can seem to quell. He feels like a stranger in his own home, a clean-shaven imposter who's replaced her beloved bearded husband. He tries to laugh it off, cracking jokes about looking like a teenager who just discovered shaving cream. But deep down, he feels strangely vulnerable, exposed. It's amazing how something as simple as facial hair can become so intertwined with our sense of self. The once familiar contours of their relationship seem to have shifted, like tectonic plates after an earthquake. They're navigating uncharted territory, trying to find their footing in this strange, new beardless world. It's not just John and Sarah who are struggling to adjust. Their friends and family are equally thrown by John's dramatic transformation. He's greeted with a chorus of confused stares and hesitant greetings, as if they're not quite sure if they recognize him without his signature beard. At a family gathering, John's Aunt Mildred mistakes him for the caterer, offering him a $20 tip before realizing her error. His buddies at their weekly poker night barely recognize him, cracking jokes about him having a midlife crisis and suggesting he buy a sports car to complete the look. Even their dog, a fluffy golden retriever named Max, seems to be having an identity crisis. He sniffs at John's legs with a puzzled expression, as if he's trying to reconcile the scent of his human with this strange new face. The world, it seems, had grown accustomed to John with a beard, and John, without realizing it, had grown accustomed to the world's reaction to his bearded self. Now, both are grappling with the consequences of this seemingly simple act of grooming. Now, I'm not saying that every guy with a beard is automatically deemed a superhero by society, but let's be honest, there's a certain cultural cachet that comes with facial hair. It's like an unspoken code that whispers, this man is mature, experienced, and probably knows how to build a campfire with his bare hands. Think about it. From ancient philosophers to modern-day CEOs, beards have long been associated with wisdom, power, and masculinity. We see it in movies, in advertising, even in the way we describe people. He had a beard that could rival Zeus himself, we say, implying that the man in question is both impressive and slightly intimidating. Of course, this isn't always fair or accurate. Plenty of clean-shaven guys are just as capable, intelligent, and downright awesome as their bearded counterparts. But there's no denying that beards carry a certain weight in our collective consciousness. And so, John, our newly smooth-faced friend, finds himself navigating not just his own feelings of vulnerability, but also the subtle and not-so-subtle reactions of a society that seems to have a very clear opinion on facial hair. Section 7. When reality bites the chin that time forgot. As the days turn into weeks, a new challenge emerges. John's beard grows back, but it doesn't return in all its former glory. Oh no, this is not the triumphant return of a hero. This is more like the awkward teenage years of facial hair, patchy, uneven, and frankly, a little embarrassing. He's sporting what can only be described as puberty beard, a smattering of whiskers that make him look like he's auditioning for the role of guy who hangs out in alleyways and asks people for spare change. It's not a good look. Sarah, bless her heart, tries to be supportive. She offers encouraging words, suggesting different beard oils and grooming techniques, but her efforts are met with a grunt and a glare that could curdle milk. John's confidence, once bolstered by his magnificent beard, has taken a nosedive. He's stuck in a weird in-between phase, longing for the days of his full beard while simultaneously dreading the awkward growing out process. It's a vicious cycle of shaving cream, regret, and itchy stubble. Section 8. Lessons learned from shaving cream to soulmates. The Great Beard Experiment, as it came to be known in John and Sarah's household, was ultimately a disaster. But like most disasters, it came with some valuable lessons. First and foremost, they learned that communication is key. Had they talked more openly about their expectations and fears, the whole ordeal could have been avoided. They also learned that sometimes it's okay to agree to disagree. Just because Sarah didn't love John's beard didn't mean she loved him any less. And just because John felt naked without his beard didn't mean he was any less of a man. Most importantly, they learned that true love means accepting your partner, facial hair and all. It's about embracing the good, the bad, and the downright hairy. It's about realizing that sometimes the things that make us different are the things that make us perfect for each other. Section 9. To shave or not to shave. A couple's guide to hairy situations. So, what's the takeaway from this hairy tale? Well, here's some friendly advice from someone who's seen firsthand the power of a good beard, or lack thereof. 1. Talk it out. Before you even think about brandishing a razor, have an honest conversation about your feelings on facial hair. Is it a deal breaker, a preference, a source of endless amusement? 2. Choose your battles. Is it really worth starting World War III over a little bit of stubble? Pick your battles wisely, my friends. 3. Embrace the awkward. Growing out a beard can be an adventure, complete with awkward phases and questionable hair growth patterns. Laugh it off, document it for posterity, and remember it's just hair. It'll grow back, hopefully. 4. Find a compromise. Maybe it's a well-groomed beard trim or a designated no-shave November agreement. Whatever works for you and your significant other. Section 10. Happily ever after, with or without the fuzz. In the end, John and Sarah survived the great beard debacle. Their relationship, though tested by the trials and tribulations of facial hair experimentation, emerged stronger and more resilient than ever. John eventually grew back his beard. Thankfully, it returned to its former glory, much to everyone's relief. Sarah, in turn, learned to appreciate the man beneath the beard, realizing that true love runs deeper than superficial preferences. They lived happily ever after, navigating the ups and downs of life with a shared sense of humor, a whole lot of love, and yes, the occasional debate about facial hair. Because hey, that's what couples do, right? So here's to the Johns and Sarahs of the world, the couples brave enough to tackle life's big and small challenges, one whisker at a time. May your love be as unshakable as a perfectly groomed beard.